Hi guys, it's Goddess Starla Vamp for Ask a Dominatrix, here where I answer your questions about fetish, kink, and BDSM. Passcode. Dear Goddess, thank you for the opportunity for asking questions. My question is why women always want to pig a man and turn them into sissies. I adore chastity and tease and denial, but I really don't like the idea about being pigged. Humble greetings. With that, I'd say women don't always want to turn men into sissies. In BDSM videos, there's kind of trends, different formulas, patterns of behavior that cluster together, and people teach each other behavior, and it kind of echoes like an echo chamber. So what you're seeing is Dominatrix is deciding sort of the formula. This is what we want to do. But also you're appealing to commercial fetish on the internet. So that's probably what you're seeing a lot of. And that's echoing throughout pro-dom sessions. So organically, I don't know if that's always the case. We don't know what happens between four walls unless somebody tells us, or unless there's a camera there, right? So with that, just stick with what you like, stick with the chastity and the tease and denial, and of course don't feel pressured to be a sissy or to get pegged. With pegging, I think women get a kick out of the excitement, the thrill, the power. What is that, a plane? The power dynamic that's going on. It's nice to have something to penetrate with for a change, so it can be exciting. Do you like water sports? Yes, I do. It's something I haven't really done that much of the last few years. When I was younger, I was really good at wearing high-heeled shoes, having the man lie on the ground and have a towel underneath him, and just go at it. And it's just really fun. It just feels really rock and roll to me. Um, it's one of, well, I don't I don't get it out as much as I used to, but it was one of my favorite things to do, kink wise, and the guys had a good time. Maybe because I was having a good time, but it made me feel like a rock star. And again, someone asked me a while ago if I remembered the first time I ever did a golden shower on someone, and I couldn't recall it. And then I realized I had I had a mistress teach me, no, this is just the best way to do it. Just put the towel right on the ground. And I thought, the guy will lie on it? Lie on the towel on the ground? Oh yeah. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's a different level. What is the weirdest request a fan has ever had for a custom? Um we're all weird. Even normal people are weird. So the term weird, it's a very fluffy word to use, I think. And it's very hard to like measure because some things they're like more obscene or more taboo or more filthy or whatever. But I'm gonna go with I used to do balloon modeling for the balloon guys are called Lunars, and I modeled for a website with balloon fetish, and I would sit on these huge balloons and bounce, and we used to do blow to pop, and we'd inflate these huge balloons until they'd explode. And I hate balloons. Kind of have a phobia about it. I don't know, it freaks me out when they pop, and so that was part of the appeal. And Mm, I don't think I'd do it again. I'm done. Okay, we have another question. Generally speaking, what are your recommendations for best practices for someone seeking a professional relationship with a Dom? It's easy to find professionals who practice the lifestyle, but it feels like a minefield when approaching them with desires for a meaningful personal connection or an endless waiting game that leads to disappointments. So, with that, I'm going to say when you go to see a professional, uh, there's boundaries there, and that's their job. So I wouldn't start that kind of relationship with any kind of expectation that it's going to go beyond those boundaries. Uh, it's up to the dominatrix, um, where her boundaries are. But you're going to get disappointed if you're looking for a real relationship. And the platform where you meet someone, it's going to set the tone for the relationship. So if you meet someone on like FetLife or Alt or something like that, that's the understanding, is that it's outside of a professional exchange. And it is a minefield, but you have to decide what it is that you want, specifically what it is that you were looking for. And I think in fetish, we get this notion that the fantasy is going to fulfill us in another person, and relationships are work, and relationships are based in reality. So, with that, I would say if you're looking for companionship, look for companionship for the person and their personality and who they are in a real way. And if you have a really particular fetish, like you like high-heeled shoes and your girlfriend isn't going to let you lick them, like, but you have this huge shoe fetish and you're never going to have that in a personal relationship. And you know what? To separate the two is great. And the people that I've met and talked to with my experiences doing this, they get the best of both worlds. They go home to their wife who can cook for them, love them, watch Netflix with them, and then they go and see a dominatrix, and she'll do everything that the wife won't, and she does it well because she's a pro. So sometimes it can be unrealistic to think that one person can accommodate all these little check all the boxes. And ultimately, this is going to sound really preachy, but a good friend is hard to find. A real companion is very hard to find. And that kind of human connection, sometimes you just have to sacrifice the fetish for the person, and in a long-term way, it can be really rewarding. I'm going to use an example of my personal experience where you would think, well, why can't you just accommodate the fetish? Like, so I had a sub, and we went pretty deep with exploring kink and everything, and he has a high-heeled shoe fetish, and as tribute he would get me these really nice pleaser high heels, and it was just always really specific. They had to be 6-inch heels or higher, and over the years, my the arches have fallen in my feet, and specifically in 2 of my toes, and it's from wearing high-heeled shoes so much. And when I walk normally in flats, my foot will cramp up, and it's excruciating. And it happens like kind of frequently, that my foot will hurt, and it's from wearing high-heeled shoes, and I have to wear a size bigger now, because of my arches. And so I had to get rid of all the shoes that he got for me, and I just found it to be kind of symbolic. And how he was just always so insistent that he wanted me to wear the shoes. And it's not to say like he, you know, specifically like he's the reason I have the problem with my arches, but when you're a living person trying to squeeze in to those heels or squeeze into those corsets, and you can't live that way. And just after a while, these things take a toll, and the things we do now, we don't know the price of it later on. And sometimes it's a lot. And we all have physical limitations. The ancient Greeks taught us that. There's only so much you can physically do with your body, and you have to be realistic about what that is. And if you can have your main girl and have a side chick or your side mistress or your side dominatrix, and you have some kind of arrangement, it can be a good deal. Hello, Goddess Starla. Here are some questions. How did you first get into sissification? That would have been... Well, I didn't really... Okay. Sissification, because I did cross-dressing. Yeah, I've done cross-dressing for a while, though. Probably... Well, through my ex-husband, but also pro-doming when I worked at the first dungeon I worked at. So that probably was the eye-opener for yes, men like to wear women's clothing. Like, this is you see it firsthand. You see it with your own eyes. Okay, this is a thing. So, yeah, professionally, I would say, and we called it sissification, was the first dungeon that I was at. Do you take your sissies out in public? Yes, I have. We shot a video. I'm not going to name the name of the park, but I had Randy on a dog leash, and we walked around the park, and he was cross-dressed. How do you determine where to take your relationship with your submissives? When I see someone professionally, it's just professional, and then also maybe for video. So I do have pretty rigid boundaries. And my personal life is really something different. So when I meet someone in a pro-dom session, that's where that stays. I think, yeah, like I might go out with them to a fetish party or something like that, but I do like my downtime, and I do have a personal life. Sorry. What do you enjoy least and most about being a dom? Okay. I'm gonna go with least first. I think some of the disrespect that comes with doing sex work. I don't like being called a whore, ever. And that sting of being called a whore never goes away. And sometimes people get really derogatory and scary. And the shame that can come with that too. So it's not always happy-go-lucky whips and chains all the time. But with this negativity, I take it in stride, and it hasn't broken me. It hasn't broken my dominatrix career, and I just try to be a well-rounded person. And if these things really affect me, then I talk to people, I talk to my friends, I talk to clients until I feel more elevated. And the best thing, people can be so sweet. People can be amazing. And I really got attracted to Fetish because I like witnessing behavior. And I like that sensitivity and that softness that, unfortunately, it's in secrecy sometimes. But sometimes it's in secrecy because it needs to be protected. Because people really express their vulnerabilities to me, and they entrust me with who they are in their social status. So I really appreciate how people have entrusted that psychology with me. And it can be really amazing to be so respected by strangers, people I've never met. And if people look up to me, I don't even I don't even know what to do with that, because I feel normal, and it feels like real life. And like anybody else, there's good days and there's bad days. And if anybody elevates me or puts me on a pedestal, it's really special. But with that, it's a struggle, struggling, swimming against the current. And it's a lot of hard work. And unfortunately, sometimes I really have to be on the defense about things. But I've had great experiences, and sometimes I just feel like a rock star. Here we go. Do you enjoy crossing fetish lines like sissification and bondage? Yeah, I think it's interesting. I want to do what the other person wants to do, and I like it if someone has a mind map of what they want to do and they bring that to me. I'm not a mind reader. I can come up with creative ideas, but I like it when someone meets me halfway and we can figure out different things together. Because if someone says to me, let's do something new, well, that could be anything. Like, it's not just up to me. Have you remotely controlled a submissive using a hush plug? If yes, what was that experience like for you both? I don't know what that is. It just hasn't come about. I know I have friends who do things like that, where one of them will be wearing a sex toy and they'll go out for dinner or something, and the other person will use a remote control. That's something maybe I could do given the right circumstances. I used to play with this master, and he would text me different tasks, or whatever you want to call it, and I would wear a butt plug for him. Usually it wasn't for that long. And I'd also wear clothespins on my nipples. I think probably the longest I've ever done that was like half an hour or something, because it really starts to hurt after a while. But I like those kinds of games where when you have a good relationship with somebody and you can play around like that. How important to you is protocol and things like capitalizing mistress, goddess, and you, capital Y. I used to really like protocol, and I used to be finicky about wanting the beginning of the word capitalized. And then after a while, I think the line just gets blurred more, because in the beginning, it's kind of the beginning of being a pro dom, there's like a honeymoon phase. And it's like the fantasy is really saturated, and you want things really organized and formulated. And over time, you're doing this lifestyle thing, you're doing this pro dom lifestyle, and it all just kind of feeds into each other. And then the real life stuff really gets in the way, and you have blocks of time where no BDSM. Like, it is not a good time. The well is dry. So over time, I'm just like way more relaxed about it. And I have the years of experience rolling around in my head. And I like those kind of formations, but I think I like it more when it's someone that I don't know and I haven't met and we don't have a relationship yet. Kind of like a blind date, and you want someone to be polite and to behave a certain way. But I have people that I've been seeing a really long time, and if they were to do protocol with me, I'd be like, what are you doing? And I like when it can get relaxed and you can just enjoy the other person and their authentic personality. And because you don't want to always feel like you're on, and you want people to appreciate your actual real personality. And if anything, if you can still have control and really be like yourself, isn't that powerful? So sometimes I get tired of how dry and cold that can be impersonal. Is it challenging to keep your relationship fresh with your long-term sissies and submissives? In all honesty, I'd say yes, but I really like it when time can go by and a lot of things happen, a lot of things change, and like some heavy, serious stuff can happen. And then when someone like a long-term submissive comes back into my life, it's like, wow, they came back after all this time. And it's like a really nice comfort. It's like hurting another person can be a really nice comfort, but that relationship still picks up, and it can just create a really nice depth when they still come back. And it just goes to show that there must have been some kind of connection there. Like, I've had clients that I've been seeing for over a decade, and it blows my mind. I can't believe how much we've changed, but also how we still like the same things. And in this pandemic, we see each other and we're always like so apologetic. Oh, I put on weight. Oh, this. And like, oh, I'm older. How do I look? And the guys can be so apologetic, like, oh, my beard is more gray. I'm old. We're old. And it's gray in a beard is so nice. It's so nice. So I'm gonna say, like, all the people that I play with when they come back, we look better. Or at least they tell me we look better. But there's something really ah, there's something about aging well, which is gorgeous and sophisticated. I probably don't hit as hard. Probably because I know I don't have to as well. And maybe I'm not the first one to come up with some of the kinkier things to do, or or I might not wear high heels when I'm doing golden, things like that. But we have physical limitations, and I like when there's still an attraction with these psychological ideas of doing these things. And yeah, I've seen people, their relationships, they come and go, they get married, they get divorced. I was married, I got divorced, this and that, and you never know how it's gonna turn out. And they also say, thank you so much for the opportunity to ask questions. Respectfully, Sissy. Someone writes, is there a chance to serve you, goddess? Best greetings. Well, with that, I'm going to say it's pretty hard in the real world. We're so limited. We can't travel. We can't really do anything. But virtually you can join my OnlyFans, join my website. These little bits of tribute, they help me, they help my lifestyle. They help me get my nails done. Someone writes, I have a desire to be dominated by being kissed. Long story for here. Does a fetish like this in some way go against the dominant submissive relationship? I think that's like a very normal, common kind of fantasy. Like with kissing and sex, people like to be dominated or dominate. Professionally though, if you go and see a pro dom, she will freak out if you try to kiss her. So that goes against that kind of professional exchange. But personally, it's a really common desire. Hello, Goddess Starla. I'm a longtime fan of you and your work. The question I have is how to approach the subject of bringing harder humiliation into play with a partner. Can't wait to watch your Q&A, Goddess. Thank you. Harder humiliation. Well, I think you can sit down with your partner and say, honey, I would like to do this or this or this. And they might be into it, but I think it can be a matter of timing and to choose the right moments, and just come to a mutual understanding of what you want and how realistically she can accommodate that. So it just takes a lot of communication beforehand, and it can be frustrating because maybe the timing won't be right, or the first few times you play, it might not be what you want, but you're sowing the seeds for what you like, and maybe the opportunity can sprout later, and maybe later than you think. But you can be pleasantly surprised by how these things can actually work, and it can be just a matter of timing. Another question is, what is my advice for a newbie on starting? I'm going to have to say, if you're a newbie, you probably won't be seeing this, but when you first discover what fetish, it's a door that gets opened, and the beginning it's sort of like the beginning of a relationship. The beginning is so good. And then you have to just keep making it fresh later in life. But when you first open that Pandora's box, it's fucking amazing. It's astounding. So, but the advice that I would give about all of that is to be as safe as you can, and to not get into toxic behaviors, because you have to be so careful with what's out there, and what can seem as ethical playing can be abuse, and it's really scary, and you can fall into really bad situations that you can't get out of at first. And with that, just have realistic notions of what you want and how far you want to push that. What are my favorite kinks? Golden, strap-on, foot fetish, cross-dressing, nipple play, cock and ball torture, bondage. To go back to one of the questions, what are some of my favorite things about being a pro dom? This might be bad, but I like seeing clients in public, even if they pretend that they don't know me and they try to ignore me. I literally saw a client at the grocery store, and it was like some stupid 90s romantic comedy or something, where it was the grocery store and it was like in the fruit section where they were on the other side of the cantaloupes or something like that. I really like how it's something that it really leaks into the real world, and it makes me feel a connection to society and to the world, to know that people are seeking the same things, and people are scared to seek out their desires or their sexuality. And it's something that it's a behavior that has to be kind of taught or learned, because sex is about other consenting adults. So when people can get together and brainstorm these kinds of things and confide these kinds of things, it gives more soul to what sex and fetish, kink, BDSM should be. So I really like when people have conversations about what that is. And you can take the sex right out of it. And one of the things that I like about fetish too is it can be really asexual. Like, a high-heeled shoe is sexy, but it's not sex. It's asexual. To lick a shoe, it's about a thing. It's about an object. It's pretty asexual. So I like that. And I like the psychology. Thanks for your questions, guys.